الدين ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ولي الصالحين وأشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد: يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. وقال تعالى أيضا: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلال وكل ضلالة في النار أعاذني الله منها وإياكم. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who sent us His beloved Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to be a role model for us. As we are Muslims, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have been commanded to follow the guidance, the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So inshaAllah ta'ala, in my khutbah today, I would like to take a subject very important. It is called the marriage proposal disaster in Islam. We know that in the world today, the Muslim youth and the young are suffering to have a family in this world. And inshaAllah ta'ala, we will look into Islam and example of the previous prophets that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent, and how we must handle this situation that we are facing in the world today. We know that the marriage is very important in Islam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has tried, and He created this because He wants to produce human beings that will worship Him. But in the Muslim world, we make it more difficult that the person is not able to marry a wife from a Muslim family. And we look in the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam situation. It is said that when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, before he became a prophet, he wanted to marry from a Medina, the relative of his mother. And they objected him because he was very poor, he didn't have the means to support her. But with that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has planned for him to marry Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. Then after he became a prophet, and then he was forced to migrate from Mecca to Medina. And we know that the situation that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went through. He didn't have anything, any money, any wealth. In that situation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent an angel asking Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam if he would like one of the mountains be gold for him. But Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam rejected. This is very important, that we will have intention that we will produce a good family, a religious people who know the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and follow the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam rejection means that an example for us, that those who are willing to have so much wealth in this world, and why Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam rejected? Because the more wealthy you are, the more accountability you will be in the day of judgment. That's why Ali radiallahu ta'ala says that the wealth, getting halal wealth is accountability, and if you get it haram, it is a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam time, the Sahaba suffered so much. They didn't have money, they didn't have work, they were struggling to marry among them, from the girls, because, we know that those who have the girls, they want their girls to be in a good family, really like a rich family. But this is not very important. The important is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saying, "Man tardawnahu deenahu wa khuluquhu fazawwijuhu." If you find a man who's religiously educated and his akhlaq is very good, make him marry your daughter. This is what we need to look at. But in the world today, it's different. That we want to marry our daughter to a rich man, to someone who has a degree. And this is, we know, it's important. But you cannot limit it in the marriage to that situation. You cannot say without degree, without wealth, my daughter is not going to be married. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rejected. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that the best, the most beloved marriage to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the dowry, the aisar, the easiest one, the cheap one. Look now the situation of Ayub alayhi salatu salam. Because we are the people that we don't want to face any challenge. We don't want to suffer. We don't want to see difficulties. We want to have luxury, good life. But also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also Ayub alayhi salatu salam. He had a good wife, he had children, wealthy, everything was going very well. But with that disaster came and destroyed all of his children. He had 14 children, he was saying, and he also suffered a disease. But his wife didn't leave him in that situation. But in the world today, if the man doesn't have anything, the wife will leave him alone. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the importance of the union, that you are working towards the Jannah. This is the best place to be in. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. In this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the world whomsoever he loves and whomsoever he doesn't love. The Iman is the most important. The Islam is the most important. If Allah gives you this, you have everything. Now in our time, we would like, to help our, boys, when they graduate school, if they have a job, we will help them to marry. But we neglect the girls, which is very important. And look, Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that when his daughter became a widow, and she didn't have a husband, and he went to Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He asked Uthman, would you marry my daughter? Uthman said, I will think of it. And he went to Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala. This is the example that we need to follow. Why is he going to these people? Because they are the people of the Jannah. They are the people of religion. They are the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with. He wants to put his daughter in a situation where it's possible for her to go to the Jannah. But his intention was very pious and very sincere. What happened in the end? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam requested to marry Hafsa radiallahu ta'ala. This is the intention we need to have. Not to look into degree, into the wealth. Because you might let your daughter to marry somebody who has a degree, but he might not be religiously educated. He might not be following the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He might mislead her. They may go into so many bad situations where she might end up, Allah knows, in the hellfire. And what we need to understand this is the desire, the feeling, the nature that Allah created into us. As we all feel that, and we all have to have these luxuries. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, make it happen. Because the most beloved, the dowry and the marriage is the easiest one. Make it simple. Do not make it so difficult and so hard. Because if your daughter, we know that the girls, the females, they always like to have a man who's wealthy. But that doesn't mean they will not accept about the person who's in poverty. And that's not a bad thing, because she might go to school, you might help her, she has a degree. And that's what Rasulullah says, تُنْكَحُ الْمَرْأَةُ لِمَالِهَا too. When she has wealth with degree, she has a wealth, she can go to work, she can support her family. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us, wants from us. That we will follow his religion the way he is revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So, instead of looking into the wealth, into degree, we need to look into somebody who is connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who will lead our daughter to the Jannah. That's what the intention of Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, he did not have wealth, he was poor, he had 12 children, and they had to migrate to, to Masr. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, he has a wife, Sarah, they didn't have wealth. That's example to us that we will not connect the marriage to the wealth or to the degree. Because there are so many people who have a degree and they don't have the opportunity. They don't have the job that they like to have. So if we are connected to that situation, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in lam taf'alu takun fitnatun fil ardi wa fasadun kabir. If you don't make the marriage easy and you don't facilitate, you don't help your daughter, at least to have a man who is connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you're forcing them to be in a fitna. Fitna means temptation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is coming through Iblis, that you will inspire your daughter to go in haram way. Because she knows that if she bring a man with family, you're not going to accept. And you get to sin, you will get sin from that. And it happened, one or two of the brothers here in the Western world, that, their daughter were requested, one of the brothers who didn't have enough, and then they rejected. They say, you don't have a degree, you're not wealthy, we're not going to make our daughter to marry you. And what happened? The daughter, they have a big degree, they're making a lot of money. So the person, the brother is so greedy for the baby who will not even born. He's thinking it's going to be difficult on him because his daughter will deliver a baby and he has to support her. You don't have to look into that. Because, look, at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ali did not have anything. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has a daughter, Fatima radiallahu ta'ala, the most very good. She is Sayyidatul Nisa al-Jannah. She is the queen of all the women in the Jannah. She is the best woman Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. And look, the family of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, they're wealthy, they have everything, luxury. And what do we know from that story? We know the family of Ali radiallahu ta'ala. We know Hassan ibn Ali. We know, Hussein ibn Ali. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala values your struggle, your patience, your struggle. But we don't know anything about the children of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala. But we know the family of Ali radiallahu ta'ala. Why? Because this family was supported by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He's the one who raised them, who's the one who provided them. The same you can take this example. Because we know we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to follow. But there is a reason coming in the way that will make you go to the Jannah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. The believer are successful, those who pray in their salat khushu'. We pray khushu' in our salat. Allah knows, from the beginning we start thinking outside. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you so many, ways to go to the Jannah. He brought a family in trouble and difficulties and poor. He is showing you that's the way for you to go to the Jannah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam brings Hassan and Hussein with his provision, with his support. They grow up and they become now the Sayyidah Shabab Ahl Jannah. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't look into our wealth, into our degrees. He looks into our struggle. The more struggle you have, the more you will be rewarded. The more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give you the ajr in the product. And that's how we're going to be in rest. That's why he says, إِنَّمَا يُوَفَّى الصَّابِرُونَ أَجْرَهُمْ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. Those who are patient, their reward and their ajr is uncountable. It's outnumbered. Allah will just reward them and give them. And when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went to the heaven, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what he was showing majority of the people of the paradise are the poor people. Those who are unfortunate, who did not have anything. And the same thing Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, Allahumma inni asaluka, and Aisha, that he said that I want to be a miskin. Somebody who has only his daily life to maintain. That's it. Not too much wealth, nothing like extreme poverty. Just I can make this my day go like eat and just stay in a